Welcome to Joy News Desk with me, Mamiesi Nyamiche Thompson. Coming up this hour, Economic and Organized Crime Office detains musician Shatta Wale on allegations of stolen vehicle. We discuss the legalities of these issues. Also coming up, Mineral Commission to slash mining leases to 15 years. We have details here on our desk. These plus business updates coming up shortly. Please don't go away. Welcome back. Now, musician Shatta Wale is not out of the woods yet. The Economic and Organized Crime Office is widening its net, investigating whether Shatta Wale has more stolen luxury vehicles in his possession after he was detained on Wednesday. It's not the first time the luxury car has landed him in trouble. Earlier this month, EOCO seized the same vehicle, citing links to convicted Ghanaian American fraudster Nana Kwabna Amwan, better known as Philip Osei Tutu. Shatta Wale, however, maintained he bought it with his own money and had nothing to do with Amwa. But now that very Lamborghini Urus is once again at the center of fresh investigations. We'll hear from EOCO shortly, but first let's get details of what Shatta Wale's management have been posting on social media. Atuabo, it says that the management of dancehall artist Shatta Wale, also known as Charles Ni Ama Mensah Jr., is issuing this statement following his detention by the Economic and Organized Crime Office. And this follows an inquiry related to tax obligations of a yellow Lamborghini vehicle. Mr. Mensah presented himself voluntarily at EOCO offices yesterday afternoon, along with his lawyer, Cephas Bio, to assist with investigations. We want to assure all fans and the general public that his legal team is fully engaged and actively working with the authorities to resolve this matter. They're taking all necessary steps to secure his release at the earliest opportunity. We urge the SM family and all well-wishers to remain calm and avoid speculation. We have the utmost confidence in the judicial process. Also says management and his legal representatives will return to EOCO offices tomorrow, which is today, to continue discussions and provide further updates as appropriate. Well, the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, says it is probing further to see if the embattled musician has more stolen vehicles. Leo Anthony Esiama is head of legal at EOCO. He spoke on Affront last night.
Investigations are time-consuming and lengthy processes. And by virtue of the fact that we found one, it could possibly mean that there are others. So we have to extend our investigations. Yes, and at this time, because it's an ongoing and active investigations, I will not elaborate more in terms of the things that we have found. EOCO is not in the business of refunding anything to anyone. Ours is to ensure that the stolen vehicles are retrieved. Now, again, I keep emphasizing on the due diligence, because if you can show or prove that you have done enough due diligence, that arms you with a cause of action against the person you bought the vehicle from to retrieve your money in a civil suit. That's the best you got.
Oh, so you could now come to the dealers and take the money?
Yes, so you, the victim, you go to the dealers and then you take your money. Because there's an obligation on the dealers to ensure that the vehicles that they are selling to people are genuine.
Dealers Union Ghana says the clampdown on stolen vehicles will affect their market. On our front again last night with Blessed Sugan, the executive secretary for the association, Frank Atanle Kofiga, raised concerns that due to the unregulated nature of imports, persons are bringing in stolen vehicle with little or no checks at the ports.
Right. No wonder your boss was saying you're planning to acquire some new.
Yes, but we can admit that not all the vehicles that were seized on the streets were all stolen vehicles. They can admit that some of them that didn't fall under this category after the presentation of those documents were released.
Yes, a couple of vehicles.
Yes. And then those were the ones that fall under our membership. Those were our members.
So after the presentation, are also being affected.
Yes, are being affected because some of the vehicles that were picked were not flagged vehicles. Okay, so after the presentation,
you feel it's a blurred line now? Do you feel that now there's a difficulty in EOCO's identification process? Or what's
yeah, I feel that the operations, the operations.
I'll come back to you.
Well,
since Leo is here, I just want to hear directly from you because he's here. What's your problem, or the challenge you have with EOCO now? Because in one breath, it seems to be about stolen cars. You seem to have quite a lot of issues with EOCO.
I think EOCO has to engage. EOCO will have to engage the dealership.
Okay.
Better, because we have a union. Okay, we need to engage to ensure that these vehicles do not even get to the street. Okay, it doesn't augur well for the market. It doesn't augur well for the country. You get my point. So if you're looking,
so your members are all saints, are they?
Pardon?
Your members are all saints.
No, in order for you to be a registered, in order for you to be a registered member, you can be tracked.
You're a businessman.
Yes, exactly.
To be fair, as businessmen, some of you
can easily be traced.
I'm not saying all of you are dishonest, but some of you may.
You can easily be traced. So don't come and fall or come and hide under an umbrella that can easily pick you out and then give you out.
Right.
You understand? Because we will not condone any illegality.
Right.
You understand? Well, once you fall foul of the law, trust me, we are going to give you out. You're going to, because at the end of the day, you're going to put the country out there on a bad note. You're going to put the dealership on the bad note. Now we have a bigger competition that's to do with the assembly. So we are trying to do everything possible to ensure that our market is quite lucrative for the people. We've been doing this for way over 40 years, way before I was born. So if I'm now part of it, I need to ensure that the market is quite lucrative for the people to come and buy value.
The vehicles you already have in the custody of EOCO, are you working to get them retrieved or back into the garage?
The members, yeah. The members who fall under our union, whose vehicles were seized, like he alluded to, we've retrieved those vehicles because we've gone through the processes, we presented the documentations, and they realized that okay, fine, these ones were not part of it. Those whose vehicles are there. If they are dealers, I think they are there. They are also presenting their documents, like you said. Some have presented false documents. Okay, so our problem right now is how to break away from that idea that everybody who imports a vehicle is a dealer.
Right.
You understand? We have dealers and we have individuals who are sitting in their rooms because there's no regulation about who can import. All you need is to have your money, go online, go onto any platform, and then import your vehicle.
Well, let's get to understand how this really works. And joining us is a retired customs officer, Major Kwesi Wolf, on the phone line. So we're grateful for your time, sir, for joining us on our desk.
Yeah, thank you for bringing me online.
Right. So let me get straight to the point. When a luxury vehicle like a Lamborghini enters Ghana, what checks are made to ensure that it's originally, genuinely acquired and doesn't have any form of fraud links towards attached to it?
Okay, basically, it is not the duty of customs to verify whether or to check if a vehicle is stolen or is genuinely owned by the importer or the exporter. It is not the duty of customs unless an official legal report is made to customs, unless customs is made aware officially that this and that vehicle imported into Ghana are being tracked from overseas and they are suspected to be stolen. That is it. Customs does not come in whether the item is stolen or not. Customs is basically concerned about two things. One, the security of, I'm talking of Ghana Customs.
Right.
We serve two functions, security and revenue. You understand me? So when a vehicle comes, we only cross-check to make sure that there are no bombs, no explosives, nothing, dangerous, no drugs, no weapons, whatever. The next thing we check is the value, and then we compute the necessary duties or taxes to be paid. We are not officially obliged to check the ownership or the status of the car as to whether it is stolen. No, customs doesn't come in. But if a report comes to Ghana Customs from Interpol or any legal security service from the country the vehicle is coming from, then we take action. You understand?
Right. Right. Can you repeat that last part again? At which point do you take action?
We take action only when we have received an official legal report about the status of the vehicle.
All right.
Yes,
all right.
That is. If a report reaches Ghana Customs or it reaches any security agency like police, Interpol, and any legal security service, and then it gets to customs, then we will assist in getting that vehicle impounded.
Right, right. All right, so then what's the level of collaboration between you and other security agencies to ensure that these vehicles supposedly smuggled into the country or, you know, not genuinely acquired, slip through the ports? How do you collaborate with the other state agencies to ensure who, in particular, you know, looks out for some of these red flags?
As I made it clear to you, it does not take customs to check if a vehicle is stolen from wherever.
That's well understood. I'm now trying to understand the collaboration between you and then the other agencies. Are they the ones that report to you, or these are individuals that may, you know, raise questions about the status of some of these vehicles?
Yeah, it takes anybody. It takes anybody. I think you're on air. I'm seeing you.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. It takes anyone, any concerned party.
Okay, right. So when that happens, if somebody, you know, a concerned party reports such an issue to you, what actions do you take from there?
We take any legally attested action. The first is to impound the vehicle. The first action is to impound the vehicle, and if it get the owner apprehended, or we invite the owner for question.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Major Kwesi Wolf. He's a retired customs officer who's trying to explain to us their role in ensuring that some of these are not genuinely acquired luxury vehicles, when they enter into the ports of Ghana, how they're dealt with. Not directly the customs officials. They just look out for the security and also some illegal stuff that are found in the vehicle, but not necessarily the you know, ownership of the vehicle. But we'll deal more with this later and also find out from Shatta Wale's management the status of his detainment as at now. But away from that, the Minerals Commission has announced that the duration of mining leases will now be capped at 15 years, down from the 30-year period provided under the existing law. Chief Executive of the Commission, Martin Aisi, made the revelation during an engagement on the overview of the mining regime in Ghana. Maxwell Aklobato reports.
The Minerals Commission has outlined major reforms to Ghana's mining laws governing the registration and operation of mining firms. Among them is a new limit on the duration of mining leases. Chief Executive Officer Martin Aisi explained that the 30-year leases have not benefited the nation, as companies often fail to undertake extensive exploration. He says this makes it necessary to restrict leases to a maximum of 15 years.
We've also realized that there is no need to give these 30-year leases. It's never helped us. I did a check around the world. I found an average between 21 to 30 years. Most countries in Africa between 25 to 30. A lot of the laws in Africa countries were basically Ghana's law. A lot of countries copy from us. So we have decided that now the upper limit of mining leases should be 15 years.
He also revealed the abolition of development agreement, which granted some mining companies special terms beyond the standard leases. He explained that the state does not benefit from such agreement when economic conditions improve.
We have decided to now abolish development agreements. So all these issues of development agreements, investment agreements where countries are giving, some companies are giving some special arrangements, we're taking them from the law. Like the accounts will say, amboye. So what are these DAs where, apart from the standard mining leases each company has in Ghana, they are giving special terms under the guise that they brought in billions. I'll tell you a few things. So for instance, what they forget is that, or what we do to ourselves is that when the economics change, we don't benefit.
Also speaking at the engagement was Dr. Charles Mensah, chairman of the board of the Institute of Economic Affairs. He said Ghana's frequent recourse to the International Monetary Fund stems from the country's failure to properly control its natural resources, which could otherwise finance the economy.
For the record, we have been to the IMF about 17 times asking for a bailout. In other words, we've gone bankrupt about 17 times over the past 40 years, let's put it that way. And here we are, we have a huge mining industry. We produce gold. We are told Ghana is the largest gold producing country, one of the largest, maybe the second in Africa. Yet, with all these natural resources, we keep going bankrupt. Why is that? Now, it is because we have no control over our natural resources. Our natural resources have all been given out to foreign companies who ship out the resources, and the revenues that are accrued to these resources are all banked outside. So as a result, we're being asked to run a race with our hands tied behind us.
The Minerals Commission is hopeful that the proposed reforms to mining laws will help properly indigenize the nation's resources for the full benefit of its citizens. Maxwell Aklobo to report, read to you.
Well, let's speak to Christopher Pokonyako from the Chamber of Mines on this, and he's Director of Analysis, Research and Finance. We're grateful for joining us on News Desk.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And good morning to you and to your viewers.
Thank you very much. Well, with this new move taken by the Minerals Commission, how do you receive this change, really, that the lease period has been capped to 15 years?
Okay. So again, thank you for the question. And from the very outset, I must make the point that the Chamber is not averse to the decision to review the Minerals and Mining Act. Since the objective is that it's going to help improve or optimize the state's benefits from mining. But specifically to the question around the change in the tenure of the mining lease, our position is that this impacts on the sustainability and the viability of the mining industry. I mean, essentially strikes at the heart of the long-term sustainability of the mining industry. And our position is because, one, it has implications on the security of the lease. And once you're going to touch the security of a mining lease, it also has implications on the risk profile of the country and the investment decisions that follow thereof. So generally, once a mine is given a lease and it tries to invest, it takes a long-term perspective of it.
Right.
And the project economics will be informed by the tenure of the lease that you are going to find, and also generally the life of the mine, which of course also depends on the deposits that you are going to discover. Generally, we tend to have like 10 to 15 years of mine life. And then as you are doing your mining, you do what we call ongoing exploration to be able to extend your life of mine. So then if you are cutting the tenure of the lease from, say, 30, and then when it comes to the opportunity to renew it, you're also limiting it at an upper limit of 10, which is just one time. So it means that the entire time that they're going to have to be able to mine is 25 years.
Right.
Then it also means that they're also going to reconsider the investments that they're going to commit to the country. That's the first implication that it has. So generally, investors are going to take a short-term view or a short-term approach as far as mining is concerned when it comes to Ghana.
So,
and the second reason around this also is that We've had a certain situation where once mining starts, the fundamentals that support the project may change because of technical or even market factors. So, for instance, the Awoya project that is supposed to mine lithium, of course, the project economics was based on some assumptions around the price of the commodity. And of course, we've all seen that in the last few years, the commodity price has stumbled. And that also has very, very grave implications on the period that you're able to recoup your investment, as well as the returns that are going to originate out of that project. So if, again, the time period is limited because of that, then obviously you can appreciate why this will impact adversely on an investor's decision to come into a country that has reduced the tenure of the mining business. And again, Ghana is now a very matured mining jurisdiction. So as far as mining is concerned, we are not generally encountering a lot of the oxides ore. So for instance, you are having some mining companies that are encountering ore bodies that are very difficult to treat. Generally, if you are starting as a new destination for mining, the ore bodies that you encounter are generally ones that are easy to treat. But as you become a very mature destination, then you encounter ones that are very, very difficult to treat. And once you are encountering those kind of ore bodies, it also has implications on your cost of processing.
Right.
And the cost of mining in total. So, of course, that's also going to elevate the entire cost of mining relative to other countries. So, again, then if you're having a very, very short time and you're having an elevated cost because of the kind of ore bodies that you're encountering, again, it strikes again at an investment decision that you're going to make as far as this country is concerned.
Right. So, let me come in at this point. I mean, you talk about it's going to have implications on commitment from investors, really. I'm also wanting to know how this is going to affect local content when this decision goes out full scale.
Okay. So the important thing is that the law is not the law is not based on you being a foreigner or you being a Ghanaian, but essentially it's the same issue or it's the same law that comes both an indigenous investor and then foreign investors. So for instance, both of companies that are fully owned. We have companies that are listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange where you and I have committed our funds to such businesses. So the decisions or the factors I'm ascribing to now or the impact I'm talking about now, it affects both locals and then both foreigners. So if I am a local investor and have an opportunity to invest in the mining sector, these are some of the considerations I will hold or I will put into perspective before I commit my resources into the mining sector. So let me give you a classic example.
Right.
When the Minerals Commission decided not to approve the lease the lease application, the renewal for Goldfields, for obvious reasons that they put out there, it changed the coloration around how even financial institutions advance funds to mining companies and their contractors. I mean, suddenly we started having requests from the financial institutions around the tenure or the tenure of leases of these mining companies, and that was considered into the risk or into the credit calculation in terms of the interest rates that these companies are going to pay. It suddenly became a factor as far as the interest computation is concerned. That is something that we had never ever seen. I mean, as far as the work of the chamber is concerned. But because of such decisions, it had a ripple effect on the credit decisions or the lending decisions of financial institutions in Ghana, not even offshore. And this was in Ghana. And it was a relationship between a contractor and then the contractor and the mine. So our point is that because such a decision is going to impact on the security of the lease, it has very, very grave implications around investment decisions and the risk that comes with the country. And therefore, we need to have a second look at it. And again, to the credit of the Minerals Commission, of course, the Chamber is already engaged in a conversation with the Minerals Commission for us to have a certain mutual point where we can all come to. And in the examples that the Minerals Commission, for instance, cites about Cote d'Ivoire, from Nigeria, from Kenya, in terms of their practices, even if you look at their renewal period, there are no upper limits on it. So, for instance, Cote d'Ivoire will say it's 10 years, consecutive 10 years. Nigeria will say 24 years, but it's consecutive 24 years. But in the case of Ghana, it limits it to an upper limit of 10 years. So essentially, you're going to have about 25 years or so to be able to do your project in the country. And that changes the risk coloration and investment decision profile as far as the country and the mining sector is concerned.
Interesting, but your analysis, with this analysis, would you push back this decision being taken by the Commission, or at least renegotiate terms, and what would be your suggestion?
Okay, so our position as a chamber on this matter is that you should tie the renewals to the project's own economics. So if a company has undertaken exploration, and the exploration is showing that maybe there's a life of mine of 10 years, or a life of mine of 15 years, a life of mine of 20 years, let's tie the renewal period to the economics of that particular project.
Right.
It should not be a fixed upper limit to say it's going to just be one time, or whatever, one time 10 years, one time 5 years. But all we are just saying is that don't put a ceiling on it. It should be tied to the project of the economics. If you are going to give yourself that general scope to be able to renew projects based on the findings or the exploration work that has been done by the company, then you put the country in a state to be able to continue to receive investment. And that will guarantee the sustainability of the mining industry in the long term. And of course, the language around how it is renewed has to be clear, so that it gives the investor that certainty that if the investor meets milestone A, B, or C, then the renewal will be done for that investor. So then that lack of certainty is taken away, and what the investor is looking for is that certainty or that guarantee that if he or she commits money to the country and follows the rules of the country, his or her mining lease will be sort of guaranteed. And that's the chamber's position. Just tie it to the results that you are getting from the exploration work and provide certainty as far as renewals are concerned.
Right. Christopher Pokunyako, very grateful for your time on our desk, and he's Director of Analysis, Research and Finance at the Chamber of Mines. Now, moving on, the National Media Commission is facing renewed criticism for what many describe as its deafening silence on the increasing number of attacks on journalists this year. Despite widespread condemnation from civil society groups, politicians and members of the public, the Commission has yet to issue any official statement on the incidents. Executive Secretary Dr. George Sapong has defended the Commission's inaction.
The Constitution provides that the Commission should deal with complaints by or against the media. So when something happens to a journalist, there's a requirement that there's a complaint made to the Commission. Now, because of the theoretical possibility that somebody would make a complaint, if the Commission comments on the matter before the matter comes to us, our comment would have been prejudicial. And that is why the Commission needs to exercise patience in receiving the complaint and addressing the complaint. The Ghana Journalists Association or the professional associations could do advocacy on the issues, and they're always very important. But when it comes to adjudicating the matter, because the National Media Commission has a constitutional responsibility, it needs to act fair. And that is why the Commission can't start talking when the matter is likely to come to us. So you are not going to hear the Commission speak until we have had the opportunity to go into the matter, to look at the evidence, and to reach a conclusion.
Well, in a related development, the Inspector General of Police, Christian Yaonu, has disclosed that 8 suspects arrested in connection with violence during the recent by-election in Ablakuma North constituency will be arraigned today.
There were these assault issues that were mentioned, and then the Accra Regional Commander Asat yesterday had got 8 suspects. 8 suspects have been arrested. Yesterday, they are being processed, and from the advice I had from the regional commander means that tomorrow they will put them before court. Later, either tomorrow or Friday, one of these days, all these suspects will be put before court. So we are making progress, and then we'll make sure that whatever happens, justice will be done to those people who, in one way or the other, did not do their work in a professional manner.
Well, NDC parliamentary candidate Bernard Bediako is urging the NPP to soften its hard stance. He's calling for an increase in police presence beyond the 600 officers already deployed to Akwatia.
At the police station, I'm sure we are good to go. But there should be some standby men in the communities as well as the surrounding towns. That if you don't trust the police, you would form your own police or you do what? There is no alternative. So I would not want to describe that comment in any manner, but I would urge that we desist from such comments. We want a peaceful election, and a peaceful election will happen. We are one people.
You're still watching Joy News Desk with me, Mamiesi Nyamiche Thompson. We'll take a break. We'll return with more. Welcome back. Now, Mensha Palace, Dwabremu is set for the one-week observation of the late Asantehemaa Nana Konadu Yiadom III today. Dignitaries, including the Vice President, Professor J. Nana Opoku-Agyeman, are expected to be in attendance, and Nana Boakye Yiadom is there for us and joins us live with updates. Nana, what can you report?
Dwabrem, where we are having the one-week observation of the late Asantehemaa Nana Konadu Yiadom III, the 14th Queen Mother of the Ashanti Kingdom. The 14th Queen Mother Nana Konadu Yiadom's one-week observation is what is currently happening at the Mensha Palace, driving thousands of people into the seat of the Golden Stool and the seat of the Ashanti King, Otumfuo Osei II. But then where we are is the palace of the Asantehemaa herself, that is Nana Konadu Yiadom. And so we'll pan a little bit for you to see. Inside here is the palace of Nana Konadu Yiadom the third. At the forecourt of the Mensha Palace is where we have Dwabrem, where the Asantehemaa will be seated alongside other dignitaries. What we can tell you right now is that the Vice President, Professor J. Nana Opoku-Agyeman, will be leading government delegation to mourn with the Asantehemaa Otumfuo Osei II. It is a beautiful display of culture and custom here at the Mensha Palace this morning. The funeral is expected to commence at exactly 12 p.m. that's midday, and then we would have the Asantehemaa seated with all the other dignitaries. It's been a display of culture. You can see that priests who are in here are doing what they have to do. Chiefs have started arriving. Politicians have started arriving. But the bigger one will be the arrival of the Asantehemaa Otumfuo Osei II, and then the Vice President, Professor J. Nana Opoku-Agyeman. And so inside the palace of the Asantehemaa, you can see that some chiefs are moving out. They are going to Dwabrem itself to get seated while we await the arrival of the Asantehemaa. This is where we have the Book of Condolence, and where the dignitaries are expected to come in and then sign and give out their words of tribute to the late Asantehemaa Nana Konadu Yiadom. You can see the beautiful portraits of the late Asantehemaa being decorated or being displayed here, decorated all over here, and it is signifying the kind of power that she has, or she was granted during her tenure as the Queen Mother of the Ashanti Kingdom. And suffice me to say that this is a significant day in the Ashanti culture, because when it comes to the Ashanti setting, the Queen Mother is superior. She holds the counseling role and plays the advisory role in everything at the palace, and so her demise becomes a big blow to the Asante, especially because he is not just the son, customarily not just the son of the Asantehemaa, but her biological or his biological sister. And so this is a loss in two sides. He has lost the the Queen Mother of the Ashanti Kingdom, and also lost his biological sister. And so the funeral, when you set in the Mensa Palace, has been divided into so many parts. We have one happening here at the Palace of the Asantehemaa, and then one happening on the roadsides and the roads leading to the Mensa Palace. And the bigger one with the Asantehene seated is one that we have at Jabrime. So this is what is currently happening here. We're expecting Vice President J. Nano Poko-Agyemang to touch down the Mensa Palace anytime soon, and then we would have the Asantehene also seated with his entourage. We are going to have all paramountcies, the over 60 paramountcies in the Ashanti Kingdom, seated as we observe the 1 week of the late Asantehemaa Nana Konedu Yiadom. Queen mothers are gallantly seated as we begin to mourn the Queen mothers. We would want to show you or paint a picture to you, get into a clear perspective how the palace of the Asantehemaa really looks like. And I think that you would want to have a view of yourself, because it is not ordinary that we would get to the inner perimeter itself of the Asantehemaa, but then we have the chance now to show you how the inner perimeter of the Asantehemaa's palace looks like. And so this is the inner perimeter where family are seated, the family of the Asantehemaa, the EOCO family to be specific, where they are all seated and they are going to sympathize with the family or the Asantehene himself. I'll let you also have a view of how her sitting looks like anytime the Asantehemaa is around. This is how her sitting looks like. Her queen mothers or her sub-queen mothers are also seated every time. And then if we can get a clear view, is where we have her stool. Inside there, where we are getting into, is where we have the stool of the Asantehemaa. And anytime she is no more, this stool is clad in black. It is covered with black. And so you can see the stool of the Asantehemaa covered with a black cloth. That is just, and it's being turned over. In Asante custom, it is termed as it is to say that the occupant of the seat is no more, or the occupant of the seat has passed. And so that is how come the seat of the Asantehemaa is covered with black, and then it is turned over. And so all the chiefs or all the queen mothers who are around the Asantehemaa, from her left to her right, would also take their seat when the funeral begins at exactly 12 o'clock. And so, Mami, see, this is how things look like over here at the Mensa Palace. Mourners are expected to come in to mourn with the family of the Asantehemaa. They started drumming. When you hear this drum, it tells you that mourning has officially begun at the palace of the Asantehemaa. And so that is the significance of the drums that you hear over here. They are telling you that in no time the funeral or the 1 week will start, and that mourning can begin. Anybody can now start to cry from now onwards. And so this is what is happening here at the Mensa Palace. We painted a clear picture of how the palace looks like as we prepare for the 1 week observation of the late Asantehemaa Nana Konedu Yiadom. Now people have started trooping in. They are coming in their numbers. Some of them will pay their last respect to the stool, and they are going to mourn with the stool, because it is a stool that has lost its occupants, and the kingdom also losing its occupants. And so that is how things look like over here. Priests are coming, pastors are coming, chiefs and queen mothers are all coming in to mourn with the Asante Nutumfo or sent to the second. So over to you.
And Abuachi Yiadom, they're giving us live updates of the Jabrime of the Asantehemaa. But let's go now to Parliament, where there's some action taking place. And James Avaji is there for us to give us what's happening. James, we understand the Public Accounts Committee has suspended sitting once again. What's happening?
Today, the committee was scheduled to hear from three different ministries: the Ministry of Labor, Employment and Labor Relations, the Ministries of Trade, as well as local government. Just a while ago, the committee heard from the Ministry of Employment, Labor Relations, and after that, the ranking member on the committee announced that they would have to adjourn because they have to reschedule the two other ministries to appear before the committee on a later date. It is unclear what the reasons are and what exact date they will schedule for them to appear before the committee, but it looks like the work of the committee for today has come to an end after they have heard from the Ministry of Employment, Labor Relations. I must also note that during the hearing with the Employment Minister, Honorable Rashid Pelpo, the question about the incident that occurred at the Ridge Hospital a few days ago, where a nurse was attacked by a citizen, came on board. The chairperson of the committee, Abna Osasari, threw that as a public interest question to know what the employment minister is doing about it. And he indicated that he has immediately summoned the Labor Commission in order to engage them on how to strengthen them, because as far as he believes, the Labor Commission must be on its toe to take on some of these infractions and violence at the workplaces. And so that's the key issue that's come out from that interaction. But the main issue is that the committee has suspended sitting and the other ministries will come at the later date.
All right. Thank you so much, James, for that update. Well, let's do business now. Winston Taki is in the studio with me. Winston, what's for business?
Now, some major oil marketing companies have started reviewing the prices at the pumps in line with industry projection. It's coming after most of them held on to their old prices, even though it should have been reviewed over the weekend. We have details in this report.
Based on industry data, a litre of petrol should have been increased by 3%, while that of LPG will be increased by a little over 2% per kilogram. But that of diesel was supposed to be reduced by just under 1% per litre. However, GOIL, which currently occupies the second position in terms of market share, took the lead yesterday by reviewing price of some of its products. The firm kept the price of petrol unchanged at 12 cedis, 88 pesos per litre. Diesel, on the other hand, went down by 8 pesos to 14 cedis, 88 pesos per litre. Total Energies dropped the price of petrol by 1 peso to 12 cedis, 88 pesos per litre. VAT of diesel also went down by 3 pesos, and it will now be selling at 14 cedis, 30 pesos at their service stations across the country. Shell has kept the price of petrol unchanged. However, diesel witnessed one of its biggest drop in recent times, going down by 44 pesos per litre. But among the top 5 oil marketing companies, Star Oil has kept its prices unchanged. It is not clear for now why most of the oil marketing companies held on to their prices that long, even though the adjustment should have happened over the weekend.
In another development, management of the Atuabo gas processing plant has assured that its ongoing 10-day maintenance shutdown will be completed within schedule. Energy and Green Transition Minister John Jinapor toured the facility to assess progress and express confidence that the works will secure long-term stability for the power sector.
The Minister for Energy and Green Transition, John Jinapor, is assuring Ghanaians of government's commitment to a stable power supply. He disclosed that the sector was in deep crisis when he took over, with load shedding of up to 700 megawatts.
When I took over office, it was very tough. In fact, if you look at the records from GridCo, for the whole of 2024, every month there was load shedding. Every month. This is verifiable records. It's not an opinion, it's a fact. Particularly in December, the deficit had widened to about 700 megawatts. And then in January, I was appointed as minister. So it was very, very tough. And we had promised the people that we'll fix it. So naturally and expectedly, I came under a lot of pressure, a lot of fire. But with your support and under the leadership of your chief executive, deputies and all of you, we've been able to stabilize the power sector.
The minister was at the Atuabo gas processing plant in the western region to appraise himself of the ongoing maintenance shutdown.
And so ordinarily, this would have taken a minimum of 20 days. And if they were to go by the normal 2-week schedule, it means that you're going to do 24 days. And so first of all, let me congratulate and thank CEO and your team for this crash work you are doing to ensure that within the 10-day period, you are able to achieve this feat. You have my full support. We'll continue to work with you. Once this is completed, Ghana Gas expects that they'll be able to scale up production to about 120 mmscf. And that for me is good news. It's a game changer. It's a cost-saving exercise. And it also ensures that we have adequate, reliable supply of gas, not just for power delivery, but for industrialization. In the next phase, we'll be looking at putting up a second gas processing plant.
Chief Executive Officer of Ghana Gas, Judith Ajoba-Blay, briefed the minister of the progress of work. She gave firm assurance that the maintenance exercise will be completed within the scheduled 10 days period.
Some of the major works we are doing for this shutdown are works that we have never done. So, for instance, a 10-year work, so the heat medium, we've not opened it. So major works are ongoing. So we are really glad that you are here to witness that. And we've also targeted that we will deliver the plan back on to you within a certain period. You've given us a period of 10 days. We are working assiduously on that, and we will not say anything. We want to be very conservative, but we will surprise you. We just may surprise you and call you even before the 10th day to tell you that the plant is back.
For Joy Business in Athalia, Kwanza, Western Region.
That's all for business. Over to you, Mamiesi.
And that's how we wrap up here on Joy News Desk. Thanks for watching. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. We're back again tomorrow with more.